made. But if we look at it, all that really means is just thousands of black people standing around. That's what that means.
We have another caller on area code 631. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
You have a question for Mr. Fuller?
Yes, I do. I've heard you say in a past lecture that you believe that the system of racism, white supremacy, is gradually losing its power. What are the signs that you see or have seen that tells you that racism is gradually losing its power?
Because, but it waxes and wanes, meaning it loses its power and then it picks it up again. Because the white supremacists are forever going to the drawing board. See, they don't stay the same. They don't do things the exact same way, but they always do things with the same objective. They just come up with newer ways of doing the same thing. And so they'll lose their power every now and then, but not to the extent that they're in any serious danger. It means that they have to make greater sacrifices. And someone mentioned this earlier. I mean, the cost of running a business, because white supremacy is a business. Just like in any business, you have some years that are not as productive as other years. Like in any criminal enterprise, which is what the system of white supremacy is, because it's designed to mistreat people. But it operates on the same principle as organized crime. Now, when organized criminals look at their books at the end of the year, they might say, well, this year we didn't do as well as we had in the last 3 years. In fact, we fell off quite a bit. But we're still in business. So what we'll do is find out why business wasn't as good this year as it was in the last 3 years. So they will go and examine all the mistakes that they made, because they make mistakes. Okay? Like in any business, you make mistakes. And they'll say, oh, well now, we should have done this instead of doing what we did. And they will go back and examine that, and then they will come up with a new strategy. They have business meetings, like organized criminals do. Every now and then when things get out of hand, they all call a meeting, even when they have differences. And they usually have differences, but not enough to put everybody out of business. See, they kill each other about the business that they run. That's how they keep in practice and teach their victims how to kill each other.
Okay,
but they call a meeting every now and then, and they decide, well, we're going to do things a little different next year. Now, is everybody in agreement with what we're going to try? So they will try it. See, they do things by trial and error. And when they find out that they make errors, then they correct their errors, which is something we don't do. We keep doing the same thing over and over again and calling it black culture.
Okay, I have a follow-up to that. Now, you said that they make greater sacrifices. Could it be that one of those sacrifices, and this is something I heard as well from somewhere else, that they are now trying to mix white people with people who are, who are non-white, but not, very, very light non-white people, in order to at least preserve some of their genetic material, so to speak, because they know that given the fact that they're genetic recessive, a lot of them, eventually they were going to, come to an end anyway because of the recessiveness. So they feel like now what they have to do is kind of mix in with other non-white people that are not so, that are, light enough, I guess, so to speak, and then kind of
it's called, that's one of the racist strategies, is to cause confusion, but the confusion is being caused among the non-white people. See, the white supremacists cannot afford to confuse themselves. So they will do a little bit of that because they have always done a little bit of it. But when they do the classifying. That's the key. They determine who's white and who's not. The victims never do. They can't. You don't have that kind of power. They cannot allow the victims to have that kind of power. So the white supremacists decide who's white. They decide who is white at any given time, and they decide who is not white. And they can do that any kind of way that they choose to do it. And they can change it anytime they get ready. They can change it every other day if they want to. And everybody else, being in a position of weakness, will have to go along with it, simply because they are in a position of weakness. That's what white supremacy means. I do what I please. It doesn't have to make sense, as long as it makes sense to me. It doesn't have to make sense to you, because you're a victim. You can say it doesn't make sense all you want to, but I say that's the way it's going to be. It makes sense to me, end of story. Get out of here. Get back to work.
Mr. Fuller, we have someone in the chat room, and they're saying that could you be more specific and tell them who is the white supremacist?
Well, I'll give a codified answer. They are who they are. And they are always white. And you can always tell them, after you've been around enough of them, you have suspicions. You can never identify them and say, now that's a white supremacist, unless the person says that he or she is a white supremacist. They'll have to say that they're white supremacists. But you can always say that you suspect that they could be, because the way the system of white supremacy works is that any white person can say, no, I'm not a racist, and you have no way of proving that they are, because who are you going to prove it by? See, that's why I'm saying you have to understand how powerful that system is. Any black person who's tried to prove that a white person is a racist had better go and get another white person to back them up. Otherwise, you're out there alone, which means you can't prove anything. You can't get another black person to say, yes, that white person is a racist. If that white person says, no, I'm not, there's nothing you can do about it, because you don't have the muscle. But a white supremacist can say, you are this and you are that, and you are classified as this, and you are multiracial, you are half white. There's no such thing as half white. There's no such thing as multiracial. But a white supremacist says that there is. And if you say, no, there isn't, they'll say, prove it. And you'll say, well, I just proved it because I said there isn't. It doesn't make sense. And the white supremacist will say, that doesn't prove anything because you said it. I said that there is. You say that there isn't. Now, whose word is any good on this planet except mine at the end of the day? I tell you what is and what isn't. Haven't you learned that by now? Are you blind? You say, yeah, but that's not right. Say, who decides what's right? Well, you have been doing it, but it ain't right for you to do it. I know that. You're not informing me of anything, but it's right when I do it. Now, you're going to make me act like what I said is not right? And if you are going to make me do it, how? Because none of you dumb, dark people on this planet had ever made me do anything. And if you think you can do it now, grab whatever you think can help you, because that's what you're going to need, a lot of help. And I don't know where you're going to get it.
Now, Mr. Fuller, do white supremacy have to be a person? Can it be a system?
I just said, I've been saying all night long so far in this discussion, the system of white supremacy.
Okay.
And when you have each and every white person who believes in white supremacy codified, see, that's the difference. That's why you can take one white person and bring them around in one block of real dark people or one island of real dark people. And in 15 minutes, that white person is running everything. Anybody who's ever been around white people knows by some kind of magic that happens. Things start getting done. Bridges get built. Medicine gets made. Food starts appearing on the shelf. Boards start coming off of boarded up buildings. And everything gets all lit up. It's not dark anymore at night. You come through and everything is pretty, and all the black people are going around giggling, talking about how pretty it is. That's when white people come around. And I'm not talking about armies of white people. I'm talking about just a few with clipboards, pencils behind their ears. Why? Because they have knowledge, that's why. They don't have contempt for learning like they have taught black people in 2008 to have. Walk around with your pants hanging down around your ankles and say, I got complete contempt for anybody that I see with a book. Because I know everything that I need to know with my pants hanging down. It ain't nothing else to know. There ain't nothing else worth knowing. And the white supremacist with the hard hat on and the pencil tucked under that hard hat and a clipboard, he's the one that made the pants that I got hanging down. But that's where we are in 2008.
And
we call ourselves a great people. There's no evidence of that anywhere.
Now, someone else is asking that. Are you speaking about how to conduct yourself with these people without conflict?
Well, it's going to be conflict when we are doing what we are doing now, and enough people start acting on it according to the code. That's conflict. See, right now there is no conflict. The white supremacists have no problem with us at all. None. They're not the least bit worried. In fact, we can look at our condition and tell that we're not a threat to anybody except ourselves. None whatsoever. We're dropping out of school. We don't want to learn anything. Some dark people in the world would give their right arm to have a few days in anybody's school, because they have been beaten down so much. They know that if you're dumb, you're going to be vulnerable to everybody. They know this. They have had to learn that. But the white supremacists have given us cushions. They've fed us, hamburgers, and enough hamburgers and chicken to go waddling down the street. And we don't think we have to have anything in our heads. Just get something in our stomachs. Well, see, you can feed hogs, but a hog is still a hog. A hog can be mastered by a person anytime. A hog is no match for a person. They have made hogs out of us. Animals, monsters and monstrosities. And we are walking around, and to show how sick we are in the mind, we walk around talking about we built the pyramids. Take a look at us. Walk down any street in any town and just take a look at us and listen to our conversations. And then ask the question, are we a great people? They say, well, we survive. Well, a cockroach can survive. But we're not supposed to be roaches.
Well, some people are saying that the problem is the school system, because the school system is ran by white supremacy, and so that's a form of them controlling, because they're controlling our minds.
Yes, but at the same time, we have to learn something. So we learn what we can. The whole world has been made a prison for the dark people of this planet. So anywhere you are in a school, but that school is a prison. The entire planet is a prison and it's a school at the same time, which means you pick out the things that you can use that make sense, and you leave the rest of it to the side, and you have to be able to have that kind of mindset every day, because every day you are in school, because the universe is a school. And you are in the university of that universe. So you pay attention to everything going on around you and ask questions.